Hey, Internet. Two things. One, because it's at a time of day when the sun is at a cool angle in my room, I can do this. Yeah, that was cool. Anyway, so you'll see that throughout the video. Um, but what I wanted to talk about was Thespian Conference. Because a lot of my friends on Facebook who are still in high school have been talking about how awesome ThesCon was this year. And of course, naturally, I was super jealous because I love me some ThesCon. So it got me reminiscing, and I figured I would talk about my crazy ThesCon memory from last year. See, for those of you who don't know, Georgia Thespian Conference is a gathering of high school actors from throughout Georgia meet in Columbus, and you just spend the weekend doing workshops, seeing shows, just being awesome, doing actor things. Well, last year I was in I experienced the greatest feeling I've ever had on stage or in the acting world, and the worst feeling I've ever had in the acting. Now let me explain. Every year they do this thing called opening number. It's where kids from all over the state come and audition for this little show that's going to be like the opener to the weekend. Like, welcome to ThesCon, check out this awesome show. And I got in, and the theme was uh, evolving. So it showed the evolution of theater from like the dawn of man to present day. And so we went through like caveman and like the Greeks and then Shakespearean and so on and so forth, all the staples that like changed the face of theater. And it was cool because I got to play Hamlet. I got to do part of the To Be or Not to Be monologue, and I got to sing the first solo in the song Hair from the musical Hair. And it was awesome. The people were great, and we only rehearsed for like 4 days. We only rehearsed like four times from like September to February. But it turned out awesome because everyone there was super professional. But okay, so we were at this place called the Bill Hurd Theater in Columbus. Huge theater. It holds like 20,000 people or something like that. I don't know. I could be exaggerating, but it was a couple thousand. Um, Huge place, super awesome. Looks kind of like the Senate from Star Wars when Darth Sidious is like throwing the things at Yoda. Anyway, that was me being a nerd just now. But we got to do the show, and we got to do it twice, and it was the greatest experience I've ever had on stage ever. Because when you have 2,000 plus or 20,000 plus, whatever, if you have that many theater kids that excited about something and they're all like screaming for you when you're doing something, it's hard not to hold in a smile. And I had to for the Hamlet part. Because I did to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows or outrageous fortune or to take yada 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 yada. So I did that, but I had to be sad because he's contemplating suicide in that part. So as I turned away, I had to hide a little smirk. But as soon as I got off stage, I had a grin the rest of the time. But then for Hair, luckily for the Hair song, I got to go crazy. I had a huge grin on my face the entire time. I got to jump into the audience, got to like touch people in the audience, sing into their faces. It was the coolest thing in the world. The best time I've ever had on stage. Ever. Bar none. But that was only the first night. On the second day, my school, Macintosh High School, was to perform our one act entitled Shoes Along the Highway. Now, it was a good show. We had won, I don't remember what we won, but we did really well at competition and everything, and we got selected to perform at the Georgia Thespian Conference. So we were all psyched, and it was snowing that day, and in Georgia, snow is like about as rare as snow in a volcano. Like it's pretty rare in Georgia. Apparently this year there was like a whole week of snow. I wouldn't know. I wasn't there. Anyway, I digest. Um But snow is pretty rare in Georgia. But it was snowing that day, and before, like about an hour or two before we were going on stage, we found like an empty boardroom in like the main hub center in Columbus, and we all just chilled out in there and started talking about why we wanted to be actors. And it was one of the most stimulating, awesome conversations I've ever had with my friends. It was so cool, and we got so pumped. And afterwards, we did quick little warm-ups. We all walked back to the hotel to get into our costumes. Or no, we walked to the theater with all of our garb to get changed. And we were in a place called the okay, now I don't remember the name of the theater, but we were there, and it was a really old it's like the oldest theater in the South or something like that. It's like a really old theater. And we got to perform something opera house. I don't remember. It's Springer Opera House. That's what it was. The Springer Opera House. So we were going to perform at the Springer Opera House, super old school. It was going to be a lot of fun. So we got there. Someone was already the play was already going on stage. We unloaded the set. We went and got changed. We were all getting super focused. I was in like my tweed coat, and my glasses, and my fake mustache because I was the substitute teacher. And I was so psyched. I was so ready to go. But then, as we were standing there all psyched up and ready to go, we get a call from our director, Mr. Bill Murray. Yes, that is his name. He called us all over, got us into a huddle, and he said, "Guys, apparently I've just received word that they've canceled all events after this show." And at first, we were all just kind of like, "Okay, why? That's stupid." But then it kind of all struck us at once that we weren't going to be able to go on stage. They had just canceled our show 5 minutes before we were supposed to go on stage. The show before us was almost over. There was already a full audience in the theater. And they were going to cancel all the events. Not just the show we were in, but like all shows after it, plus the dance that was zombie themed, which was going to be awesome. Everything. And this was like at like noon, I think. I don't even remember what time it was. But it was pretty early in the day, and they were going to cancel everything for the rest of the day. And I had to walk away. I had to slowly walk away from the huddle to prevent myself from breaking anything. I was furious. And, of course, Will, my friend Will, who played the lead character in the show, wasn't there for the initial announcement. He just walked over and saw me march away, afraid that I might hurt something or break something, because I had pretty bad anger issues at the time. And then he realized it, and all of us were just kind of like, we didn't know how to react. It was like shock mixed with anger, mixed with sadness. It was just, every bad feeling was just slowly bubbling up. And like at one point I had to refrain a girl from punching another guy in the face. I won't name names, but I had to like refrain a fight from happening in the dressing room, and like people were crying, people were trying not to get pissed. It was awful. And so we proceeded to get out of our costumes, and luckily they let us onto the stage just to like look around. And there were people in the audience, like they were like, "Dude, we wanted to see your show. Can you just do it right now? Can we just see the show?" And we wanted to oblige them so badly because we were so psyched and ready to go. But they were like, "No, we can't let you. No, it's snowing. The weather's too hard." And the snow was like melting as soon as it touched the ground. Georgians just don't know how to handle their snow. So yeah, we spent about like 2 hours exploring this old theater, singing Phantom of the Opera songs and Sweeney Todd songs, and journeying up into the really high up seats that used to be the coloreds only section, and like, of course, we reenacted Lincoln's assassination many times. But we were still just so devastated, and we ended up having to go. We just went back to our hotel early, ordered Chinese food, and just sat in our rooms depressed the rest of the night. And to make matters worse, it was the night of the Winter Olympics when that guy died doing the luge. It was a bad day for everybody, you know. But but at least that night we snuck out of our rooms that were taped closed, and all the dudes spent 5 hours in the man cave just talking about life. So that was cool. But yeah. So we all went home rather depressed with the roller coaster weekend that was 2010 Thespian Conference. And of course, a couple days later, we found out that our director slash acting teacher was a pedophile. So yeah, that's that. But I'm glad my friends had a good ThesCon this year. And the thing is, as much as the bad stuff that happened that weekend kind of messed with me and made me angry, I really wouldn't change it for the world. Because it was such a learning experience from both sides, you know. Like, I got to experience the greatest theater experience I've ever been a part of in opening number. Just, yeah, it's still the greatest thing I've ever done on stage and ever had the privilege to be a part of. And then just the worst possible thing that could happen to someone on stage. Maybe not the worst, but close. And it was such a learning experience about the ups and downs of the industry. You know what I mean? But whoa, I just realized this is a really long video. So if you stuck through it, I'm glad you did. Thanks for listening. I'll try and be quicker next time. Bye.